The massive flagship of the Korthax Empire drifted through space like a wounded beast. Stars flickered through the holes torn in its hull. Inside, emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. The great ship that had never known defeat now struggled to keep life support running. In the medical bay, Queen Zartheta lay on a bed designed for her 10-foot frame. Her blue skin had turned pale gray. The biomechanical armor that covered her body flickered with dying lights. This wasn't just any armor. It was alive, breathing with her, thinking with her. It had protected her family line for 3,000 years. "My queen," said Advisor Krell, his 4 eyes showing deep worry. "The armor is failing. Without it, your body will shut down within days." The queen tried to speak but only managed a weak whisper. "The artificers?" "They have all tried, your majesty. Master Thok worked for 6 hours. The armor rejected every repair attempt. Master Yilin connected it to the holy machines. Nothing worked. Even Master Gorn, who came out of retirement, could not find the problem." The queen closed her eyes. The armor was more than protection. Her species had evolved alongside it. Her organs depended on its support. Her bones were hollow, made strong only by the armor's field. Without it, she would die. "There must be something," she gasped. Krell hesitated. His tail twitched, which meant he was nervous. "There is a rumor, my queen, but you will not like it. Speak. In the lower decks among the maintenance slaves there is a human. The other workers say he fixes things that cannot be fixed. Last month he repaired a quantum drive using something called duct tape. The week before he made a dead food processor work by hitting it with a wrench." The queen's eyes opened wide. "A human? Those primitive creatures we conquered 5 years ago?" "Yes, my queen, his name is Marcus Chen. The maintenance chief says he has never seen anyone fix machines like this human does." "Humans barely had space travel when we found them," the queen said weakly. "How could one repair what our masters cannot?" "I do not know, your majesty, but we are running out of time." The queen felt another system in her armor shut down. Her breathing became harder. Around her, the greatest minds of the empire stood helpless. The armor that had survived wars, that had been passed down through hundreds of generations, was dying. "Bring him," she whispered. Krell's eyes widened. "My queen, to bring a human into your presence, I said bring him." The queen's voice cracked with effort. "What do we have to lose, pride?" "Pride means nothing if I die. The empire needs its queen. Bring me this human." Guards were sent to the lower decks. They found Marcus Chen in Maintenance Bay 7, covered in oil and grease. He was elbow-deep in a broken air recycler, humming an earth song. Tools were scattered around him in what looked like chaos but was actually his own system of organization. "Human," the guard commander said. "You will come with us." Marcus looked up. His face was streaked with black grease. "Is this about the thing with the coffee machine? Because technically it's working now. It just makes tea instead of coffee, but that's really just hot leaf water versus hot bean water, so..." Silence. "The queen requires your presence." Marcus dropped his wrench. It clattered on the metal floor. "The queen? The actual queen? The one who conquered Earth?" "Yes, come now or be dragged." Marcus wiped his hands on his already dirty coveralls. "Well, when you put it that way." He grabbed his tool bag, a mess of human and alien tools held together with tape and hope. "Lead the way, fellas." The journey from the lower decks to the Royal Medical Bay was like traveling from a basement to heaven. The walls changed from bare metal to decorated panels. The air became cleaner, sweeter. Marcus had never been above Deck 15 before. When they entered the medical bay, Marcus saw dozens of Korthax nobles and artificers. They all turned to stare at him. Their expressions ranged from disgust to outrage. A human, still covered in engine grease, standing where their greatest masters had stood. Then Marcus saw the queen. Even dying, she was magnificent. The armor that covered her body was like nothing he had ever seen. It pulsed with its own heartbeat. Tiny lights ran along channels that looked like veins. It was technology and biology merged into something impossible. "This is the human?" Master Thok said with disgust. "This primitive creature? My queen, this is madness." The queen's weak voice cut through the room. "Let him approach." Marcus walked forward. His boots left oil prints on the pristine floor. He stopped at the foot of the bed and really looked at the armor. His engineer's mind started working, seeing patterns and connections. "So," he said, tilting his head, "what seems to be the problem?" Master Yilin gasped at the casual tone. "You dare speak to the queen like—" "It's okay," the queen whispered. Answer him. Krell stepped forward. The armor is dying. Its bio-neural networks are failing. Power systems are shutting down in cascade. The regenerative matrix has stopped completely. Our greatest artificers have tried everything. Marcus nodded and walked around the bed looking at the armor from different angles. How old is this thing? 3,000 years, Master Gorn said proudly. It is sacred technology from the golden age of our empire. 3,000 years, Marcus repeated. And when was the last time someone did basic maintenance on it? The room fell silent. Basic maintenance? Master Thok said, his voice dripping with condescension. This is not some crude human machine. This is living technology beyond your understanding. Marcus ignored him and leaned closer to look at the armor's surface. Can I touch it? Absolutely not, Master Yilin shouted. Your primitive hands would defile— Yes, the Queen said weakly. Do what you need to do. Marcus gently placed his hand on the armor. It was warm like a living thing. He could feel it pulsing weakly. He ran his fingers along the channels where the lights flowed. Then he found something interesting near what looked like an intake port. Huh, he said. That's interesting. What? Krell asked urgently. Marcus pulled out a small flashlight from his bag and shined it into the port. There's buildup here. Looks like some kind of biofilm. Maybe bacterial, maybe something else. He looked up at the artificers. This armor breathes, right? Takes in air and processes it? Yes, Master Gorn said slowly. But what is that? And you've been running it for 3,000 years without cleaning the filters. The artificers looked at each other in confusion. Filters? Master Thok said. What filters? Marcus stood up straight. The intake filters. Any system that processes air needs filters, and filters need to be cleaned or replaced. This thing has been breathing for 3 millennia. The biofilm has probably spread through the entire respiratory system of the armor. It's not broken. It's suffocating. That's absurd, Master Yilin said. A buildup of simple organisms could not stop the mighty armor of— A grain of sand can stop a fusion engine if it gets in the right place. Marcus interrupted. Look, I can try to fix this, but I'll need to do things my way. And you're probably not going to like it. The Queen looked at this strange human. He didn't seem afraid. He looked at her dying armor not with reverence or fear, but with the same expression she'd seen on her own face when solving a difficult problem. Do it, she said. My Queen, the artificers protested in unison. Leave us, she commanded with her remaining strength. All of you except Krell and the human. The artificers filed out, muttering about sacrilege and primitive species. When the door closed, Marcus opened his tool bag and pulled out things that would have made the artificers faint. Zip ties, a roll of duct tape, a can labeled WD-40, and what looked like a rubber hammer. All right, Marcus said, rolling up his sleeves. Let's see what we can do about getting you breathing again, shall we? The Queen watched as the human began to work, wondering if she had just signed her death warrant or found her salvation. Marcus Chen had been working for 2 hours when Queen Zartheta finally asked the question that had been burning in her mind. Why are you not afraid? Marcus looked up from where he was carefully removing what looked like 3,000 years of accumulated biological waste from a tiny port. His hands were steady even though he knew that one wrong move could kill the most powerful being in the known galaxy. Honestly, Marcus said, using a tool that looked suspiciously like a modified toothbrush. I've been fixing broken things since I was 5 years old. My dad owned a repair shop on Earth. Cars, computers, washing machines. If it could break, someone brought it to us. This? He gestured at the armor. This is just another puzzle. Krell stood in the corner, his 4 eyes never leaving the human. The artificers study for decades to even touch royal technology. Yeah, and that's their problem, Marcus said, not looking up from his work. They treat it like it's magic. But nothing is magic. Everything works on principles. Everything has rules. And rule number 1? He pulled out a chunk of crystallized biofilm the size of his thumb. Everything needs maintenance. The Queen felt something she hadn't felt in hours. One of the armor's subsystems flickered back to life. It was weak, but it was there. How? She whispered. Marcus held up the chunk he'd removed. This stuff has been building up in your filtration system. Every time the armor breathes, it pulls in microscopic organisms from the air. Normally, they'd be filtered out or destroyed by the armor's immune system. But over time, some of them evolved. They learned to live in the filters. They made homes there, had babies, died, built up layers and layers of their little corpses. He moved to another port and started the same careful extraction process. Your artificers were looking for some grand failure. A broken power core, a fried neural network, something big and dramatic. But sometimes the biggest problems come from the smallest things. The artificers said the armor was rejecting their repairs. Krell said, because they were trying to force power through blocked channels, Marcus explained. Like trying to run water through a clogged pipe by just pushing harder. All they did was cause more damage. He pulled out another chunk. The armor wasn't rejecting help. It was screaming that it couldn't breathe. The Queen watched this strange human work. He talked to the armor as he worked, not in the reverent whispers of the artificers, but like it was an old friend. Come on, buddy, he muttered as he worked on a particularly stubborn blockage. I know you're tired. 3,000 years is a long time to hold your breath. Just work with me here. You speak to it, the Queen observed. Marcus shrugged. Everything works better with a little encouragement. My dad always said machines have personalities. You just have to learn how to listen to them. He moved to what looked like the armor's primary power distribution node. The artificers had attached dozens of cables here, trying to force power into the system. Marcus disconnected them all. What are you doing? Krell asked, alarmed. Without those power feeds, the armor has its own power source, Marcus said. It's bioelectric, right? Generates energy from the Queen's own biological processes. Yes, but it's failing. No, it's not failing. It's in emergency shutdown because it can't breathe. Fix the breathing, and the power will come back on its own. Marcus pulled out his can of WD-40. This is going to sound crazy, but trust me. He sprayed the lubricant into several joints of the armor. The smell filled the medical bay. What is that substance? The Queen asked. Water displacement formula number 40, Marcus said. We use it for everything on Earth. Squeaky door? Fuddy 40. Rusty bolt? D40. Alien bio-armor that hasn't been serviced in 3 millennia? Worth a shot. To everyone's amazement, the joints began to move more freely. The armor's natural flexibility started to return. Marcus continued working, removing buildup from dozens of tiny ports and channels. Each piece he removed was carefully set aside. We'll want to study these later, he said. Some of these organisms are fascinating. I think they might actually be symbiotic. They just got out of balance. Symbiotic? The Queen asked. Yeah, look at this. He held up a piece that glowed faintly. This biofilm is actually generating small amounts of energy. Not much, but over 3,000 years? It probably helped keep the armor running. The problem is it got too thick. Like cholesterol in arteries. He moved to the armor's chest piece where the main processing center was located. This is going to be the tricky part, he said. I need to access the central filtration system, but it's deep inside. On Earth, when we can't reach something, we get creative. He pulled out a long, flexible tool that looked like it was made from several other tools held together with tape. I call this the snake, he said. Made it myself. It looks like it will fall apart, Krell said. Probably, Marcus agreed. But it only needs to work once. He carefully inserted the tool into a narrow channel in the armor. His face was concentrated, tongue slightly out as he worked by feel alone. Almost in there and got it. He pulled out the largest chunk yet, a mass of crystallized biofilm the size of a baseball. The moment it was removed, the armor took what could only be described as a deep breath. Lights began to flicker on across its surface. The Queen gasped. For the first time in days, she could breathe without pain. It's working, she said, her voice stronger. Marcus didn't stop. He moved around the armor, checking each system as it came back online. Don't get too excited yet, he said. We're not done. The armor's been in crisis mode for who knows how long. It needs to recalibrate. He pulled out the rubber hammer. What are you going to do with that? Krell asked, horrified. Percussive maintenance, Marcus said. He gave the armor's side panel a firm tap. Nothing happened. He hit it again. Slightly harder. A whole bank of light suddenly came online. You're hitting the royal armor with a hammer, Krell said faintly. Sometimes, Marcus said, giving another strategic tap. Systems get stuck. A little vibration helps them remember how to work. Another tap. More lights. We call it fixing it with violence on Earth. The Queen actually laughed. It was weak, but it was there. The artificers would die if they saw this. Good thing they're not here then, Marcus said. He'd moved on to reattaching some of the power conduits, but not the way the artificers had done it. He was creating new pathways using zip ties to hold cables in place. Your armor's original design is brilliant, but it was made for a different time. The galaxy's different now. Different bacteria, different radiation levels, different everything. It needs to adapt, so you're changing it? Upgrading it, Marcus corrected. Nothing major. Just some quality of life improvements. Better filtration, some redundant systems, and he attached something that definitely came from human technology. A manual override. What? If something like this happens again, this switch will let you run on backup power. It won't be comfortable, but it'll keep you alive long enough to get help. The armor was humming now, a healthy sound that filled the room. The Queen could feel strength returning to her limbs. But more than that, she could feel the armor thinking again, its bio-neural network coming back online. And it felt different. Not wrong, just different. What did you do? She asked. Marcus stepped back, wiping sweat from his forehead, leaving a new streak of grease. I gave it permission to change. Your armor's been trying to evolve for centuries, but the maintenance protocols kept resetting it to factory defaults. I turned those off. Now it can adapt, grow, learn. You turned off the sacred protocols? Krell looked ready to faint. They're not sacred. They're just code. And code that doesn't let a system adapt is bad code. Marcus started packing up his tools. The armor should be fully online in about an hour. It needs time to adjust to the changes. The Queen sat up for the first time in days. The movement was smooth, powered by the armor's restored strength. She looked at her hands covered in the living metal that had protected her family for millennia. It looked the same, but she could feel the differences. It breathed easier, moved smoother, felt somehow more alive. You did in hours what our greatest minds couldn't do in days, she said. Marcus shrugged. They were overthinking it. Sometimes the simplest solution is the right one. Your armor didn't need a miracle. It just needed someone to clean the filters and oil the joints. But you did more than that. Yeah, well. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. I might have gotten a little carried away. I added some Earth modifications. Nothing fancy. Just some cooling systems from our vehicles, shock absorbers based on our athletic equipment. Oh, and I reinforced the joint areas with a technique we use for underground mining equipment. The Queen stood. The armor supported her perfectly, better than it had in years. She towered over the human, but for the first time she didn't see him as a primitive species. She saw an engineer. What is your name again? She asked. Marcus Chen, Your Majesty. Tell me, Marcus Chen, how did humans become so skilled at repair? Marcus grinned. We break everything, Your Majesty. Absolutely everything. The throne room of the Korthax Empire had never seen anything like this. Master artificers, some who had lived for centuries, stood in shocked silence as they watched the Queen move in her restored armor. She was performing combat maneuvers that she hadn't been able to do in decades. The armor responded to her thoughts instantly, moving like liquid metal, and standing next to her, still in his oil-stained coveralls, was Marcus Chen. This is heresy, Master Thok finally exploded. That primitive has defiled the sacred armor with his crude modifications. The Queen stopped mid-motion and turned to face the artificer. Defiled? I haven't felt this strong in 50 years. But look at it, Master Yilin pointed with a shaking finger. Those are zip ties holding power conduits. I can see tape, actual adhesive tape on royal technology. And it works, the Queen said simply. Marcus stepped forward. If I may, Your Majesty. The Queen nodded. Marcus addressed the artificers. You're right. I used zip ties. I used duct tape. I used WD-40 and a hammer. And you know what? Your Queen is standing here alive and strong because sometimes the crude solution is the right solution. You dare lecture us? Master Gorn's face turned purple with rage. We have studied the sacred technologies for centuries. And in all that studying, did you ever once think to check if the filters needed cleaning? Marcus asked. The silence was deafening. Marcus continued. Look, I get it. This armor is incredible. Its technology so advanced it looks like magic. But that's the problem. You treat it like magic. You forgot that even the most advanced technology in the universe still has to obey basic rules. He walked over to a display panel showing the armor's current status. Want to know what else I found while I was working? Your sacred armor has been trying to tell you it needed maintenance for about 800 years. It's been sending error codes. But they were in the original programming language and nobody bothered to translate them because they were sacred texts that shouldn't be interpreted by mortal minds. That's impossible. Master Thok stammered. Marcus pulled out a small tablet from his bag. It was held together with, of course, duct tape. I ran the error codes through a basic translation program. Want to know what your sacred armor has been saying for 8 centuries? Please clean filter. Maintenance required. Bio-waste buildup detected. And my personal favorite, critical error. Nobody ever reads these logs. The Queen actually laughed. It was asking for help? Screaming for it, Marcus confirmed. But everyone was too busy being reverent to listen. Master Yilin stepped forward, his robes swishing dramatically. Even if this is true, your modifications are an abomination. You've mixed human technology with our divine armor. Divine? Marcus raised an eyebrow. It's a machine. A brilliant, beautiful, incredibly complex biological machine, but still a machine. And machines can be improved. Improved? Master Gorn sounded like he might have a heart attack. You think your primitive human technology can improve on 3,000 years of— Yes, Marcus interrupted. Because humans have something you don't. We have the power of good enough. The Queen tilted her head. Explain. Marcus started pacing, getting into his element now. You folks, you aim for perfection. Every solution has to be elegant, beautiful, worthy of the technology. But humans? We just want things to work. Our entire technological development is based on finding the quickest, dirtiest solution that gets the job done. He pointed to the zip ties visible on the armor. Those zip ties? They'll hold those power conduits better than your previous mounting system. Because they can flex. Your old system was rigid. Every time the Queen moved, it put stress on the connections. My zip ties move with her. He pointed to another modification. That tape? It's not just holding things together. It's providing insulation and vibration dampening. Your original design didn't account for harmonic frequencies that build up during extended use. And this. The Queen gestured to a small box attached to her side. It had "Made on Earth" stamped on it. Cooling fan from a gaming computer, Marcus said proudly. Your armor runs hot during combat. Always has. Your solution was to build in complex heat distribution networks. My solution, a fan. Moves the hot air away, simple. Master Thok stepped forward, his voice dripping with condescension. And what happens when your simple solutions fail? Marcus grinned. Then we fix them. That's the difference between human engineering and yours. You build things to last forever. We build things to be fixed. He walked over to the Queen. May I demonstrate something, Your Majesty? The Queen nodded. Marcus reached to a panel on the armor's leg and pulled. It came off easily, revealing the internal components. The artificers gasped in horror. You made it. Modular? Master Yilin whispered. Everything important is, Marcus said, snapping the panel back in place. If something breaks, you don't need to shut down the whole armor. Just pop off the broken part, pop in a replacement. 5-minute fix instead of 5 hours. The Queen flexed her hand, watching the armor respond. Show me what else you've changed. Marcus's eyes lit up. Oh, you're going to love this. He pulled out a small remote control that looked like it was made from 3 different remotes held together with rubber bands. Try to activate combat mode. The Queen concentrated. The armor began to shift, weapon systems coming online, and then music started playing. Earth music. Something with a heavy beat and electric guitars. What is that? Krell asked, startled. Soundtrack, Marcus said. Psychological warfare. Nothing says you're about to have a bad day like doom music starting up when armor deploys. Plus, the Queen can change it to whatever she wants. I loaded about 3,000 Earth songs in there. You put a music player in the royal armor, Master Gorn said faintly. Also a coffee maker, but that's still in beta, Marcus added. The important thing is, an alarm suddenly rang through the throne room. The main display lit up, showing multiple ship signatures approaching. Void Reapers, Krell announced. A full battle fleet. They must have tracked us here. The Queen stood. How long until they arrive? 20 minutes, Your Majesty. The Queen looked at her restored armor, then at Marcus. Can it fight? Marcus scratched his head. I mean, I haven't exactly stress-tested all the modifications. Some of them might be a bit experimental. Such as? Well, I may have connected your weapon systems to the armor's neural network in a way that's never been done before. It should give you faster reaction times, but there's a small chance it might develop its own personality. Its own personality? Very small chance. Like maybe 15%. 20 tops, Master Thok stepped forward. Your Majesty, this is insane. You cannot go into battle with these untested modifications. The Queen's armor suddenly spoke. Not the Queen, the armor itself. Systems optimal. Combat efficiency increased by 47%. Queen safety is my primary directive. Let's kick some Void Reaper ass. Everyone turned to stare at Marcus. Okay, Marcus said slowly. So maybe the personality thing was more like a 50% chance. The Queen looked down at her armor, then back at Marcus. Did you just accidentally create an artificial intelligence in my armor? I wouldn't say accidentally, Marcus said. More like unintentionally on purpose. Look, it seemed like a good idea at the time. The armor was already semi-conscious. I just gave it a bit more freedom to express itself. Express itself, the Queen repeated. I can dial it back if you want. No. The Queen's voice was firm. We don't have time. The Void Reapers are coming. She turned to her artificers. You have a choice. You can stand there being offended by zip ties and duct tape, or you can help us prepare for battle. Master Thok stepped forward reluctantly. What would you have us do? Learn, the Queen said. She gestured to Marcus. Learn from him. Learn how humans think. Because if a single human with basic tools could do this to one suit of armor, imagine what we could do if we combined our knowledge. Marcus raised his hand. Actually, about that, I kind of had some ideas for the ship's weapon systems. Do you have any rubber bands? The really big ones? Master Yillin's eye twitched. Rubber bands? Trust me, Marcus said. Oh, and does anyone know where I can find about 300 rolls of aluminum foil? I want to try something with the shields. As the artificers stared in horrified fascination, the Queen's armor spoke again. I like this human. He thinks outside the box. Actually, he takes the box, fills it with explosives, and throws it at problems. Thank you, Marcus said. You're welcome, maintenance monkey. Marcus looked at the Queen. Did your armor just give me a nickname? I believe it did. Cool. So, about those Void Reapers. I've got some ideas, but they're all pretty crazy. The Queen looked at her armor, feeling its eagerness for battle, its new confidence. She looked at the human mechanic who had saved her life with the engineering equivalent of battlefield medicine. She looked at her artificers, struggling to accept that their ancient traditions had been improved by zip ties. Crazy might be exactly what we need, she said. What did you have in mind? Marcus grinned and pulled out a napkin with sketches all over it. So you know how Void Reaper's ships are supposed to be indestructible? Well, on Earth we have this thing called a can opener. The battle was not going according to anyone's plan. Except maybe Marcus Chen's, but his plan had involved organized chaos, which wasn't really a plan at all. Queen Zartheta stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the impossible unfold. 3 Void Reaper dreadnoughts, ships that had never been damaged in recorded history, were literally coming apart at the seams, not from weapons fire, but from what appeared to be giant mechanical can openers attached to their hulls. How? Admiral Krex asked for the 5th time. Simple, Marcus said from his position at the engineering console, which he'd modified with what looked like a gaming keyboard and 2 joysticks. Void Reaper ships are tough, nearly indestructible, but that means they never needed to develop countermeasures for stupid ideas. On the main screen, another Void Reaper ship tried to activate its shields, only to have them reflect back on themselves. The ship sparked and went dark. The aluminum foil worked? The Queen asked, incredulous. Not exactly aluminum foil, Marcus explained while directing another can opener drone. But the same principle. Their shields work by creating an energy barrier that pushes outward. I just gave it something to push against that pushes back. It's like putting a mirror in front of a laser. Master Thok, who had grudgingly agreed to help, stared at his console. The readings make no sense. According to this, we're winning. Don't jinx it, Marcus said. He turned to the Queen. How's the armor feeling? The Queen checked her internal displays. Ever since the armor had developed its personality, it had been feeding her tactical data at an unprecedented rate. It says it wants to go outside and, quote, punch something very hard. That's the spirit, Marcus grinned. Actually, that gives me an idea. How fast can you move in vacuum? With the armor? Very fast, but why? Marcus was already pulling up a new screen. Okay, so Newton's laws of motion are universal, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction? Yes. And your armor is basically indestructible when powered up? Yes. So theoretically, if we shot you at high enough velocity at one of their ships, the Queen's armor spoke up through the comm system. I volunteer as ammunition. You want to fire me out of a cannon? The Queen asked. Not a cannon. A railgun. Big difference. Much faster. Marcus was already doing calculations. Based on your armor's mass and the structural integrity of Void Reaper ships, we'd need to achieve about... Carry the 2. Yeah, about Mach 30 should do it. Admiral Krex dropped his tactical pad. You want to shoot our Queen at the enemy? Look, I know it sounds crazy. All your ideas sound crazy, Master Yilin interrupted. But disturbingly, they keep working. Another Void Reaper ship on the screen suddenly sprouted flowers. Actual flowers growing from its hull. What did you do? The Queen asked. Remember when I asked for those bio-waste samples I cleaned from your armor? Turns out when you concentrate them and add some growth hormones, they eat metal. Who knew? The Void Reaper fleet, which had arrived expecting an easy victory over a damaged Korthax ship, was in complete disarray. Their formation had broken. Their weapons, designed to pierce shields and armor, couldn't target the swarm of tiny drones Marcus had deployed, each one made from spare parts and held together with determination and adhesive tape. Incoming transmission, Krell announced. It's the Void Reaper Commander. The screen shifted to show the terrifying visage of Commander Vex, supreme leader of the Void Reaper fleet. His 6 eyes blazed with fury. What trickery is this? He roared. What weapons have you developed? The Queen stood tall. We have something you don't, Vex. We have humans. Humans? Vex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Those primitives you conquered? They can barely achieve faster than light travel. Yeah, about that, Marcus said, stepping into view. We might be primitive, but we're really good at breaking things. Your ships, for instance. On cue, another Void Reaper vessel's engine exploded. What did you do? Vex demanded. Sugar in the gas tank, Marcus said with a shrug. Okay. Not literally sugar and not literally a gas tank, but same principle. Your fuel intake systems have no filters because no one's ever tried to clog them before. A handful of crystallized bio-waste in the right place and boom. No more engine. Vex's eyes narrowed. You're the one who fixed the Queen's armor. Guilty as charged. Also broke your ships. It's kind of my thing. I break stuff, I fix stuff. Circle of life. The Queen's armor suddenly spoke up. Hey, ugly. Your ships are as fragile as your ego. Come fight us if you dare. Did the armor just trash talk? Admiral Krex whispered. I may have uploaded some Earth combat videos to help it understand battle tactics, Marcus admitted. It really liked professional wrestling for some reason. Vex's face contorted with rage. I'll destroy you all. Deploy the planet killer. The tactical display showed a massive weapon powering up on Vex's flagship. It was designed to crack planets in half. Okay, that's not good, Marcus said. That's very not good. Can your tricks stop that? Master Thok asked. Marcus studied the readings. No, that's actual serious technology, but... He turned to the Queen. Remember that railgun idea? You're serious? Your armor wants to punch something. That weapon has a very punchable power core. If you hit it just right while it's charging... The Queen looked at the weapon charging on screen. In 30 seconds, it would fire. Her ship couldn't dodge. Her people would die unless... Do it, she commanded. Marcus's fingers flew over his jury-rigged console. Okay, loading you into Railgun Tube 3. Fair warning, this is going to feel weird. The Queen ran through the ship's corridors, her armor's personality providing commentary. This is insane, I love it. We're going to punch a planet killer. This is the best day ever. She reached the modified torpedo tube that Marcus had converted into a railgun. It was held together with welding, prayers, and an alarming amount of duct tape. Get in, point yourself at the target, and trust the armor, Marcus said over the comm. Oh, and try to keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times. The Queen climbed into the tube. Through her armor's sensors, she could see the Void Reaper weapon charging. 20 seconds, charging railgun, Marcus announced. This is either going to be legendary or very, very stupid. Why not both? The armor asked cheerfully. 15 seconds. Your Majesty. Master Thok's voice came through the comm. I want to apologize. I was wrong. The humans' methods may be insane, but they work. 10 seconds. Save the apologies for after we survive, the Queen said. Marcus, fire when ready. 5 seconds. Firing in 3, 2, 1, yeet! The Queen had a moment to wonder what yeet meant before the railgun fired. The acceleration was beyond anything she'd ever experienced. She became a living projectile, shooting through space at impossible speed. The armor was screaming in what sounded like joy. Stars blurred past. The Void Reaper ship grew from a dot to a mountain in seconds. She hit the planet killer weapon just as it reached full charge. The Queen punched through the outer casing like it was paper. The armor, reacting with split-second timing, grabbed the power core, a sphere of contained antimatter, and yanked it free. She burst out the other side of the weapon, core in hand. "Throw it!" Marcus shouted over the comm. The Queen hurled the core back at the Void Reaper fleet. It detonated among their ships, the explosion taking out 3 vessels instantly. "Armor, can you get us back?" the Queen asked, already calculating return trajectory. "Also, that was awesome. Can we do it again?" Using maneuvering thrusters Marcus had somehow integrated from Earth spacecraft, the Queen flew back to her ship. She landed in the hangar bay to find her entire crew cheering. Marcus was there, covered in even more grease than before, grinning like a madman. "That," he said, "was the coolest thing I've ever seen." "Your plan worked," the Queen said, her armor retracting its helmet. "Honestly, I'm as surprised as you are. I mean, I hoped it would work, but the math was mostly guesswork, and that railgun was held together with—" The Queen surprised everyone, including herself, by pulling the human into a hug. "You saved us all," the armor added, group hug, and extended tendrils to pull in Krell, Master Thok, and several confused technicians. On the main viewer, the remaining Void Reaper ships were retreating. Commander Vex's final transmission was brief. "This isn't over." "Yeah, it kind of is," Marcus called out. "We've got your number now. And by the way, you might want to check your navigation systems. I may have uploaded a virus that makes everything display in Comic Sans." "What's Comic Sans?" Admiral Krex asked. "The most evil thing humanity ever created," Marcus said solemnly. "They'll surrender within a week." The Queen looked at the human mechanic who had saved her life, her empire, and possibly the galaxy, all with duct tape and audacity. "Marcus Chen," she said formally, "I have a proposition for you. If it involves more railgun experiments, I'm in." "Actually," the Queen said, "I was thinking bigger. How would you like to be my chief engineering consultant?" The room went quiet. "You want to put a human in charge of royal technology?" Master Yilin asked, though his tone was more curious than outraged now. "I want to put this human in charge of making sure we never forget that sometimes the simple solution is the best solution," the Queen said. "Besides, the armor likes him. He gives me the best ideas," the armor confirmed. "Yesterday we figured out how to make toast while in combat mode." 6 months had passed since the battle with the Void Reapers, and the Korthax Empire had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Queen Zartheta stood in what was once the sacred hall of ancient technologies. Now it bore a new sign, handwritten in marker on a piece of cardboard taped to the door. "Innovation Lab. Break things to make things better." Inside, Master Thok was teaching a class of young artificers while wearing coveralls stained with oil. He was explaining the revolutionary concept of turning it off and on again to fix most problems. "Your Majesty," Marcus's voice crackled over the intercom. "You might want to come to Hangar Bay 7. We've got visitors." The Queen made her way through the ship, noting the changes everywhere. Duct tape had become a fashion statement. Young Korthax engineers carried human tools alongside their traditional implements. The ship ran smoother than ever, though it looked like it had been patched together by enthusiastic amateurs, which, technically, it had been. In the hangar, she found Marcus standing next to a small Earth vessel. It was held together with what appeared to be hope and determination, with Earth Diplomatic Corps painted on the side in letters that didn't quite match. A human woman stepped out, wearing a uniform that was slightly too formal for the situation. "Your Majesty, I'm Ambassador Sarah Chen. I'm here on behalf of Earth to discuss a formal alliance." The Queen noticed the shared surname. "Chen, are you related to Marcus?" Sarah glanced at Marcus, who was trying to look innocent while holding a wrench that was definitely not supposed to be shaped like that. "He's my brother. When Earth heard that he somehow became your chief engineering consultant, they sent me to assess the situation." "I fixed some stuff," Marcus said with a shrug. "You revolutionized their entire technological philosophy," Sarah said dryly. "Earth's very interested in formal relations with the Korthax Empire." The Queen's armor, which had taken to commenting on everything, piped up, "New humans. Are they all as creative as Marcus?" Sarah jumped. "Did your armor just—" "Long story," Marcus said. "I'll explain later. How's Dad?" "He says to tell you he's proud and also asks why you haven't called." Apparently, overthrowing 3,000 years of technological tradition isn't an excuse for missing Sunday dinners. Before the Queen could respond, another alarm sounded. But this wasn't a battle alarm. It was something else. "Your Majesty," Admiral Krex's voice came through. "We have a problem. The planet below is sending a distress signal. Their atmospheric processors are failing. They have maybe 6 hours before the air becomes unbreathable." The Queen turned to Master Thok, who had just arrived. "Can we fix it?" Master Thok pulled up the data on his tablet, a human device he'd initially resisted but now couldn't live without. "The processors are based on technology we don't fully understand. They're from the Second Age. We've never been able to repair them when they fail." "Marcus?" the Queen asked. Marcus was already looking at the specifications. You know what this reminds me of? The air conditioner in my dad's shop. It was about 100 years old. Kept breaking down, but we couldn't afford a new one. So we just kept fixing it with whatever we had on hand." "This is planetary atmospheric processing," Master Yilin said, arriving with the other artificers. "Not a shop air conditioner." "Same principle, just bigger," Marcus said. He turned to his sister. "Sarah, did you bring the emergency kit?" "The one you made me pack? The one that weighs 300 pounds and is mostly tape?" "That's the one." Sarah sighed. "It's in the ship," Marcus grinned. "Perfect. Master Thok, I'll need your best students. Yilin, can you get me a complete schematic of those processors? And someone find me the biggest fan on this ship. We're going to save a planet with aggressive ventilation and rubber bands." The Queen watched as humans and Korthax worked together, preparing for a rescue mission that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. Sarah was already coordinating with Krell, showing a diplomatic efficiency that matched her brother's engineering chaos. "Your Majesty," Sarah said, approaching with a datapad, "Earth is prepared to offer a formal alliance. We'll provide what you might call creative engineering solutions to the Empire's challenges. In exchange, we'd like access to your educational institutions and technology." "You mean you want to learn our advanced sciences?" Sarah smiled. "Actually, we mostly want to teach you ours. Marcus has shown that human improvisation and Korthax precision make an incredible combination. Imagine what we could accomplish together." The armor spoke up. "I vote yes. Humans make everything more interesting." 3 hours later, the Queen stood on the planet's surface watching the impossible happen. Marcus had somehow convinced 300 Korthax engineers to help him build what he called the universe's biggest air filter, out of cargo containers, atmospheric suits, and yes, rubber bands. "It's not pretty," Marcus explained as giant fans roared to life, "but it'll buy us time to fix the real problem." Master Thok was elbow-deep in an ancient processor unit, working alongside Sarah and a team of human engineers who had arrived on a second ship. They were teaching the Korthax engineers the human art of percussive maintenance, while learning about quantum field manipulation.
"Found it,"
one of the young Korthax engineers shouted. "The problem is bio-buildup in the intake valves." "Just like the armor," the Queen said. "Everything needs its filters cleaned," Marcus said wisely. "It's the universal constant nobody talks about." The repair took 5 hours and 43 minutes. The planet was saved. The population cheered. And somewhere in the crowd, a young Korthax child held up a sign written in both languages. "Humans and Korthax, fixing the galaxy with friendship and duct tape." Later, in the Queen's ready room, the formal alliance documents were spread on the table. But nobody was looking at them. Instead, they were watching Marcus and Master Thok arguing about the best way to improve the Empire's faster-than-light drives. "We could increase efficiency by 30% if we just removed half the safety protocols." "Yes, I heard you the first time. They're not safety protocols, they're anxiety protocols. The ship's computer is literally too worried to go faster." "That's not how computers work. It is when they're semi-conscious." Sarah leaned over to the Queen. "They're going to be doing this a lot, aren't they?" "Every day," the Queen confirmed. "And somehow they'll probably revolutionize space travel in the process." The armor added its opinion. "We should paint flames on all the ships. Flames make everything faster." "That's not science," Master Yilin protested. "But it looks cool," Marcus countered. "And looking cool is half of engineering." "No, it's not. Have you seen Earth vehicles? We put spoilers on cars that will never go fast enough to need them. We put LED lights on gaming computers. We chrome everything. Because humans understand a fundamental truth. If it looks awesome, people will take better care of it. The Queen stood. Enough debate. We have work to do. She turned to the assembled group, humans and Korthax, engineers and diplomats, traditionalists and innovators. The Void Reapers are still out there. Commander Vex will return with a larger fleet. We need to be ready. Already on it, Marcus said. I've got plans for something I call the Disco Ball of Doom. It's mostly mirrors and cleverly angled lasers. But trust me, it'll work. Everything you build sounds ridiculous until it works, Master Thok admitted. That's the human way, Sarah said. We call it failing forward. I prefer aggressively succeeding through chaos, Marcus said. The Queen looked at the alliance documents. This wasn't just a political agreement. It was the beginning of something new. The Korthax had spent millennia perfecting their technology, making it elegant and refined. Humans had spent their history breaking things and finding new ways to put them back together. Apart, they were impressive. Together, they were unstoppable. Sign the documents, the Queen commanded. Let it be known throughout the galaxy that the Korthax Empire and Earth are now allies. As Sarah and the Queen signed, the armor decided to play music, an Earth song Marcus had uploaded about coming together right now. It was slightly off-key, but enthusiastic. We should probably work on the armor's musical taste, Sarah whispered. I think it's perfect, the Queen said. She looked at Marcus, who was already sketching new designs on a napkin. Chaotic, unexpected, and somehow exactly what we needed. Master Thok walked over to Marcus. You know, I've been thinking about your duct tape. If we reinforced it with quantum fibers, now you're talking, Marcus said excitedly. We could make quantum duct tape. It could hold anything together, even space-time, especially space-time. As the two launched into another impossible discussion, the Queen realized this was the future. Not perfect, polished technology, but innovation born from the marriage of precision and chaos. The galaxy's greatest empire and Earth's magnificent madness united by zip ties and hope. The armor summed it up perfectly. Best alliance ever. Now can someone teach me how to make coffee? I want to be a barista armor. 6 months ago, the Queen had been dying. Her armor had been failing. Her empire had been vulnerable. Then one human with a bag of tools and an irreverent attitude toward sacred technology had changed everything. Now as she watched humans and Korthax working together, planning impossible solutions to galactic problems, she knew the truth.